store, I would assume, handles it.
A lot of the health stores, what we call LifeGive Live, is called E3 Live globally. Yes, and they'll have it. Most of the better ones.
Is that the frozen?
Yeah, that's the frozen. Now watch the other ones. Blue-green algae are not all the same. Remember that. There's a company called Clement that they don't have money, so they harvest the stuff. It's like harvesting lettuce, letting it sit for several weeks, and then drying. Well, could you imagine what happens if you do that? So you've got to watch the quality of these things.
So what is it again? I want to look up.
Again, most health stores do not carry quality blue-green algae other than E3 Live.
E3 Live.
E3 Live. That's the same thing. LifeGive Live and E3 Live are the same product.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Brian, what do you thought about resveratrol?
Resveratrol actually is beneficial. It's the extract, and what it does, it has a phytochemical, but more important, an antioxidant effect on people. And it does have it. You've got, again, qualities are another important thing in it. How do they process it? What it was heated to? And the linear approach from mainstream biology is sort of weird. They don't get that if you cook it and kill it, it's not the same punch as if you extract it without that.
So the stuff that Dr. Oz is brought.
Well, I don't know exactly. It would be foolish for me to comment on that. I don't know. Could be excellent, could be crap. I don't know. Dr. Oz I like. He's sort of a, he's like one of those guys who's dancing on the edge. He really gets a lot of this, but he knows how to present it so that it's not overwhelming for people. Yeah, I like it. Yes. Any other questions on the couch? Okay. Now we move over to this couch. Yes.
You mentioned last week about if you take products in your suitcase, you need that little thing. What happens if you import it? So once you
okay, good question. We're now talking about transportation of living supplements, whole food supplements. Now, you shouldn't be taking dead ones to begin with, so every supplement you take should be alive to begin with. When you leave here at Hippocrates, we give you our cloth bag, and you should get a card in there called an R-Guard. Why? Because when you go through this ungodly, you all look like terrorist show. Every one of you. Matter of fact, they stop Anna Marie more than me. It must be the accent. I've got the goatee, but they stop her. Figure that. This guy looks so much like a terrorist he couldn't be. Yes. Put the R-Guard in there because when they put it through the anti-terrorist, let's look at your luggage thing, it will protect the living food and living food supplements that you have. So that you do. What I do is I have that hanging at my door, so like this Saturday when I get on a plane, I'll have all my living food things in there. In your luggage, other than if you live in Israel, there's almost a chance in hell they're going to look at it level. The truth of the matter is I've talked to people that tell me they look at less than 20% of 1% of luggage worldwide. It's spot checked. And so if you're in Israel, they check everything. And if I was in Israel, I'd check everything too. And so the reality is that you probably in Britain don't have to worry about. Same thing.
They're not screened.
I'm not saying they don't, but it's so minuscule an amount that it happens. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the time. They don't have the equipment.
No sell, please.
Yeah. As an example, the cargo that comes into this country, they don't even check the cargo that comes in from the Middle East. They don't even check 3% of that. No less, it's less than 1% of everything else. It's an impossibility. What we anticipate is that everyone's sane enough not want to kill one another. But how can we anticipate that? Because our government's great at doing that too. Your government's great at doing that too. Yes?
And viruses.
Viruses?
Hepatitis C, HPV. How?
Viruses are an interesting thing. I mean, if I went back, I would hate to go back to school, but the one area I'd go back to school for is viral research. And I'll tell you why. The AIDS epidemic got me looking at that again. Now, nobody, when I would speak years ago, before AIDS became a prominent figure within the array of health problems we have today, when we would talk about immunity on medical campuses, they'd look at us like we had two heads. Because immunity is something you sort of studied in class, but nobody ever took it serious. And nobody ever really made it user applicable. And I used to say, remember, it's your immune system that protects you from microbes, viruses, bacteria, etc. And mutagens, cancers, tumors of all types. Now they got that. Just to go back to some of these retroviruses, like hepatitis C, retrovirus. one in my generation was called a kissing disease, called mono what? Retrovirus. Now, what's a retrovirus? Now, this isn't really what it is, but I'll make it so it's understandable to you. If two big viruses get together, or three big viruses get together and make love, they have these little viruses called retroviruses. They're microscopic. Now, the problem with these bastards, they're sort of new generations, and the immune system hasn't figured them out. Now, the immune system is things like the general, the T cell, and lieutenant, the H cell, and the main soldier, leukocyte, the white blood cell. But yeah, eosinophils, basophils, neutrocytes, monocyte, lymphocyte. They're the Army, the Navy, the Marines, you know, the Green Beret, and all of these people. So they're there to protect you. But these little ones have fooled them. Now, here's what's brilliant. With the AIDS, now listen to this one. This is almost shocking. When the AIDS, and this is again not portraying reality, but I'm going to make a point for you. Let's imagine the AIDS virus looks like this. Eventually, which we've seen 1,000 times here, the leukocyte, which is a soldier, is coming after it to eat it and kill it and take it out of the body. Do you know what happens to the AIDS virus once it knows the leukocyte's coming? It changes shapes. And we've seen it. It stuns the leukocyte. The leukocyte sits sort of, it's like you and I being stunned. It just sits there and sort of floats for a bit. Changes to the shape. Now the leukocyte once again figures out, okay, let's go get it again. Guess what it does? It changes shape. And so, when we talk about hepatitis C, it's a retrovirus. It's this new family. Chronic fatigue syndrome, which is known as Epstein-Barr. They made it a Jewish disease, God knows why. But Epstein-Barr and University of California, Los Angeles told us years ago, it's at least 4 different families that may have, God knows how many hundreds of subcultures of them. So lots of these things. And so these are confusing viruses for the body. Now, can they be corrected? Yes. Because, again, how this program has been effective is not magic and not mysticism. It's immunity. There's not one thing I do here as a director and the leader that doesn't focus on immunity. I send you to Andy and Anthony to strengthen your immune system. I give you oxygen and electromagnetic therapy to strengthen your immune system. I give you food to strengthen your immune system. Everything I do has one. I'm solo-minded. This doesn't take a lot of intelligence, by the way. You just have to be very focused. What is this all about? Immunity, immunity, immunity. The stronger you get the immune system, the more apt the general is going to now be Charles de Gaulle or Patton. They're not going to be the guy who ran the Gulf War. You follow? They're going to really know what happens. And now they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. I know what those bastards look like. I know they hide in the tissue of the liver. Now, why are they in the liver? The liver is a major filter of blood. Thousands of times the blood comes through. It sits there. I've seen people reverse these diseases left and right. I've seen people go zero-negative with AIDS. Now, that's very uncommon. You know, out of 25 years of me working and understanding AIDS, I've seen 4 people do that, 5 people do that. I've seen lots live perfectly normal lives, look like you and I, and healthy and strong. But yeah, you can get rid of this stuff, but you've got to be diligent. And you can't be all over the place. The other problem with Westerners, you know, from Europe and the United States and Canada, we're all full of crap. You know, we're so basically, we're like wimps. You know, we're willing to buy the latest thing, the newest thing, look for something. We're always searching rather than settling. And we've got to stop searching. We've got to say, hey, doesn't it make sense to think right, eat right, and exercise? If that doesn't make sense, shoot yourself now and get the pain over. Now, the problem is it makes sense, but we're addicted, so it's hard for us to apply it. We'd rather listen to some schmo that tells you, take a pill and you're going to get better. Or some doctor that says, I'm going to cut your arm off and your leg off, but you may get better in the liver. And you say, okay, I'd rather do that. God forbid I have to eat right. God forbid I have to be. You know, this is the problem with Western today. People who have it hard know it's hard to do things, so they do it. You know, I go to Africa and I teach this, which I've done. I go to third world countries and I teach it. People apply this pretty quickly because it's close for them. But we always find, you know, interesting ways out of doing what we should be doing.